Hey guys, Shiko here, and today I'll be showing you a different type of guide, a step-by-step on how to defeat the hard version of Rin Izcorgiky Week 1. I've noticed that a lot of groups are having issues with this fight, so let me break it down for every role and everything that you need to do in order to complete this. Let's talk about the requirements. First, you're going to want a group of 12 people and not 20. The reason being is because at 20 people, the boss's health is nearly double for 8 extra people, so it's not worth it. For this party comp, you'll want 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 8 DPS. The party leader should put players in this setup so that it makes it easier to determine who goes left or right during phase 2. In order to meet the DPS check, your average total of the party comp should be 15,000 ability score. On top of that, you will need food and you will need serums in order to meet the DPS check before he hits Enrage. If you do not have any, you should buy some from the trading post. You want to buy serums because they increase the damage of your class's attribute for 10 minutes. For tanks, they should eat food that regenerates HP. For other classes, they should eat them in order to increase their damage output. Alright, let's get started. Something to note is that this guide will not cover how most of the mechanics work, but you can watch my other video in case you do. Starting off the fight, both of the tanks should go east or west of the boss. So when the party engages with the boss, they'll be able to see whenever the tanks are frozen to be able to free them. Next, you'll want to assign one ranged DPS in order to handle all of the turret mechanics. Don't worry, we're only going to be doing one set of these, and I'll explain why later. At the beginning of Phase 1, 3 random players will be chosen for Avalanches. It's important to note that this occurs for Phase 1 and Phase 3 multiple times, and Avalanche players will want to drop their puddles away from the fire puddles, as doing it on top will remove the fire puddles. Something to note is that the fire puddles can spawn in between the ice puddle drops, so there's really nothing you can do about that. Every player should watch out for these ice puddles so that you do not die, as taking 2 will kill them. Puddle droppers should take these out from the party. Now, let's go over what the ranged DPS will do for turret mechanics. Whenever the ranged DPS sees the dragon on the side or fire puddle drops, that means that the dragon is ready to be deterred. The DPS should fire a total of 4 shots in order to remove the dragon. Yes, they'll lose a little bit of uptime, but this is the only time they're going to do turret mechanics. If the turret happens to be overheated or iced before the dragon goes away, the DPS should still handle that. Now what this means for the entire duration of the phase is that the fire dragons will auto every single player for damage, around 15,000 health. For the healers, they're already using skills that heal, so it makes all the auto damage from the fire dragons negligible. By doing this, this allows all of the players to free up resources to attack the boss instead of trying to go around to de-ice the turrets or try to un-overheat the turrets. Now, let's discuss what the tanks should be doing. Because tanks are bulky, they will essentially stay at the boss the entire time and ignore the frost buildup mechanic. Whenever player sees the tanks frozen, they will unfreeze them so that tanks can continue attacking, building resources for mitigation. Whenever the tank sees this line AOE Ice Beam, this should indicate a tank swap where the other tank grabs aggro using a taunt skill until the next line AOE occurs and you'll need to swap. Now, you'll see Frozen Weapon occur. This is where the boss targets a turret and does a large AoE. This is a proximity damage, so players can be inside the edge or at the outer edge and still get uptime. At the same time, a small AoE appears, and this is a Tankbuster. Both tanks should be in it and soak the damage together. This may result in both the tanks being frozen, so players should get them out immediately. The boss will begin casting Glacier Spin, and all players except the tanks will head towards the fire puddle so that they do not get mesmerized and walk towards the boss when he's casting his cleave. This cleave will instantly kill any DPS or healers, so be wary. Ranged players don't really need to worry about this mechanic because when they're mesmerized and try to auto-battle the boss, it'll be right at the edge of the AoE. Now, because you're ignoring all the turret mechanics, you should be able to phase the boss much faster. Before the boss phases at around 40%, players will need to refresh their frost buildup by going to a fire puddle for Phase 2. Now let's discuss Phase 2. When you're transitioning into the cutscene, turn off your auto battle. For some reason, the auto battler will try to target the boss, it'll move the character and ignore the barrels, which is not ideal. In order to coordinate all players moving together during this weather, do not use Phantom Dash in the very beginning. Just sprint and jump in order to get to the first keg. Wait until all players have arrived and then start destroying the first keg for a fire puddle. Now, because there's a sprite at the end of both paths that need to be killed in order to proceed, players on the left side of the party list should go left, and players on the right side of the party list should go right. In order to use your time wisely while the enrage counter ticks down, you'll want to ignore the second barrel on both paths and head straight for the third one. Destroy the third barrel, and make your way to the sprite. If at any point you get pulled by a tornado, use your Phantom Dash to get out as soon as possible because the frost buildup will be much faster. Once the walls are lifted after the frost sprites are dead, Phantom Dash into the first barrel and kill it immediately. At this point, you need to burst down the boss's shield while avoiding all the donut and circular AoEs before the enraged timer hits 0. This will conclude phase 2. Now at this point, the tanks will want to face the boss away from the party. The party should head over to the southwest barrel first because everyone is closer to it. Make sure to tap target the boss until the icon is red because you can accidentally start autoing or attacking the barrel even though it's locked. The boss will cast a party stack on one of the tanks, and the tanks will only be soaking this. No player should be in it. Tanks use mitigation as necessary. Subsequent party stacks can be stacked on top of each other to make sure that there's more room in the arena, but tanks need to be careful because they will get frozen more often. Next, random players will be targeted for Avalanche again, except this time, whoever is targeted will need to drop at least 2 puddles on the locked barrel. Once the barrel is unlocked, players should destroy this immediately, resetting frost buildup. Tanks will ignore this mechanic because they need to face the boss forward in case they need to drop another party stack. If the tanks are frozen, they need to be unfrozen by the players. Once that barrel is destroyed, the party should head north while the tanks try to face the boss away from the party. Players will need to unlock this keg as soon as possible, but wait to destroy it until they see Weather Switch. Once they see Weather Switch, reset your frost buildup, and this is the last final leg of the fight. You'll want to burst it down before he hits Enrage and roars, wiping the party. And that concludes our step-by-step guide. This guide was made for week 1 and you will notice a tight DPS check. After the weeks progress, you should get more gear and make this fight more easy, but this guide can still be relevant. Hopefully you enjoyed, get your clear, and as always, take care.